Welcome to another edition of the Daily Night. I'm your host, Brian Smith, and I am joined by Stephen Leonard, UCF fan and student. Stephen, today we're going to talk a little bit about the tight end position, brief history lesson, more about the current roster and what we think it's going to be like moving forward under Gus Malzahn. So first off, welcome to the show. How you doing today, my friend?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Just studying for finals.
Yeah. That's part of the world you live in, so it's better to be studying and pass them. So continue to do that. Right now, UCF is in a very unique situation at tight end. They've got two guys that came in, one a recruit, Grant Stevens, and the other Gamble that came over from Florida in the transfer portal. That's a really athletic 1-2, and you're adding them to Alec Holler. I'm looking at the depth chart now, kind of just thinking about it. It's not as much for me, at least. This is just my own opinion. Who starts, because they're going to use multiple. When Gus was at Auburn, when he was at Arkansas, different places, he used different types of situations with H-backs and tight ends to gain leverage, to help with the run game, to help with RPO, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It was a big part of their 2010 championship run is using tight ends in the passing game, as well as helping to block on the perimeter, outside zone, et cetera. UCF last year especially was very thin at tight end, and I don't think they even came close to operating their full offense. We both know, because we both watch a lot of college football. Adding a guy like Kemore Gamble not only helps your vertical passing game and your checkdowns on 3rd and 3, etc. Now you have multiple guys. You can rotate players. You can do different things. So I'm very excited about that. What have you heard based on their play this spring about tight ends and anything with the passing game and how it helps UCF overall, adding an athlete like that to the roster?
Well, I mean, obviously they tried to run 2 tight end sets last year, but it was Alec Holler and either Charlie Browder or the name's slipping me now on the
that's the whole point, because nobody else did anything consistently besides
Jake Hescock.
Jake.
He was supposed to be the starter and then got
beat out immediately. He didn't play much,
but there wasn't much like athleticism on the tight ends that played much. So adding a guy like Gamble, adding Stevens as the third guy, you're going to be able to run your 2 tight end sets like Gus liked to run last year.
Oh yeah.
But you actually have the option to pass to the tight ends instead of it being a clear blocking formation.
When you put in a player, no matter the position, that's a skill guy. If it's a receiver and the only thing you can do is run deep routes, if it's a running back and he's just between the tackles, it sets up the other team to not only know the play but change their personnel. When you put in versatile guys, Gamble being one, that's a threat in the passing game, both short, medium, and long, just across the board. And he can also block, and you put him in with Holler, who's an experienced player. You can start to diversify what you do in terms of play calling, formations, situational football. It is an entirely new spectrum for the offense. And it sounds goofy. Oh, they're just adding a tight end. Are they? Because he's a flex tight end that can also play attached to the line of scrimmage. And UCF historically, UCF, you and I were talking about this off the air, is not good at tight end. They're just not. The one tight end, Jordan Akins, it's played for the Texans or what have you. Besides him, I'm not sure if there's been another true tight end for the Knights that's played in the NFL. If there is, I'm unaware. You probably know.
Jordan Franks is the only one of recent memory that I know.
Okay. It's not, this isn't like, Miami or Notre Dame or some of the schools that have had a ton of tight ends go to the NFL. UCF, though, could, and that's where this gets interesting, have a little bit of a changing of the guard. And here's why. Grant Stevens came in. He was a highly recruited kid out of Jacksonville. He's a freshman. We expect he'll play some this year. Is he going to be physically ready to beat up on outside linebackers in the run game? Probably not. He's 230-ish, give or take. Last year, he missed quite a bit of his season with a broken foot or some kind of fracture or something in his lower leg. But great hands. He's a flex tight end. He's a Florida kid. He wanted to come to UCF. He has a lot of upside. And they're also recruiting some kids that are pretty good, 2 of which I love. One is Randy Pittman. He's from Mosley High School up in Panama City. Then there's another kid in North Carolina, which I mean, I'm not sure how much chance they have, but he was just on campus. I know you know about him. Devonte Connor is a freak athlete. UCF just getting him on campus. I believe you said earlier when we were talking prior to the show, this young man is going to drop his top 6 on social media today. I assume Twitter, Instagram, etc. He is a come in and play right now guy. And UCF is going to lose both their tight ends rather quickly. So, I mean, they could be looking at like a freshman and a sophomore being they might take a grad transfer as well. Let's not discount that. That is very plausible. But otherwise, they're just really not very deep at the spot that's playing. There are some other guys on the roster. I get that, but you got to prove it to me. I would love to see Gamble go out this year, have a big year, and whether they get a commitment now or flip a kid later and get to the point where in Gus's offense, they're going to get a chance to get the ball. This can be a weapon instead of it's just a guy on the field. When was the last time you were excited about UCF tight ends?
I was excited about Browder last year just because his size.
He's a big dude. That is a big dude.
But then he had drop issues the entire season.
Yeah, I don't see it.
And then transferred.
What is he, like 6'8" or something like that? I can't remember.
He's like 6'7.5".
Yeah, he's a large human being. He could grow into a tackle. It wouldn't shock me. But anyway, I don't think he's going to outplay somebody like this. This Connor kid, no offense, is way better than him already. And he's got a year of high school left. I watched Jayvontay's film. I watched 3 clips, and I immediately said to you, this kid can play at Alabama.
Yeah.
If you're going to beat those schools, ever, you have to recruit with them. It's not a news flash, and I know that I'm not telling people what they want to hear because it's not exactly easy to out-recruit those kind of schools. But this kid, while most of his offers are that mid-level of the country in terms of the talent, he's starting to get SEC schools offering Virginia Tech, Missouri, etc. He doesn't play at a prominent program that everybody knows about. He's in middle of nowhere, North Carolina. Good, number one, good scouting by UCF. Number 2, getting him on campus shows that he has an interest. And now with Gamble and different players getting a chance at tight end, hopefully Stevens gets to play. You can show kids like that. I'm just using him as an example because it's the same with Pittman. Even though he's committed to Florida State, he's taken a bunch of visits to different places. UCF has a chance to add to their weapons because receiver has never been a problem at UCF. That's the one position they always have guys, and right now is certainly no exception. They have multiple NFL players on their roster. If UCF can consistently get to a point they're adding a tight end at least every other year that has NFL potential, it changes your offense. So which position do you think UCF needs an improvement more than tight end on the roster? Is there one? I mean, like traditionally year to year, not just this roster.
Oh, tradition. Okay.
I don't think there is one because I think it's their weakest position historically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know.
Unless you want to count kicker, and I know you love kickers, but
kicker is the best position at UCF historically.
Okay.
They got Matt Wright and Matt Prater.
Okay. Well, they got 2, but now.
Okay.
No, I had to.
Boomer's good.
Oh yeah, I think he's going to be a star. But UCF needs consistency there. Is there anything close to tight end from the traditional positions that you think they struggle with?
Maybe like historically defensive end, maybe.
Okay, that's fair. That's a hard position to recruit because it's such a critical position. There's a lot of comp. I'm not surprised that you said that.
I mean, they're doing well in the 2023 recruiting at defensive end already. So,
well, it kind of helps to have Caven Call as your first commitment, and he picked UCF over Georgia. That's a good sign. So, yeah, he's a pretty good ball player. For those of you who don't know, Caven committed to UCF on Christmas Day last year. He's from Apopka High School, just northwest of the city of Orlando. It's the first suburb out. So, great prospect. The last thing I want to mention about this on this short little podcast, UCF has a chance this year to be a very dynamic offense. And I think that it truly will impact not only tight end recruits, but other position players, running backs, receivers, etc. But you need everything to tie together. Football is a unique sport in that 11 guys are essentially trying to do the same thing. I know that's a goofy phrase, but it's true. And when a team doesn't have to focus on a position because they don't trust that he's going to be getting the ball or he can block or whatever, that weakens you. UCF has taken a step up, and by the looks of the film with the kids they're recruiting, it's going to go up yet again. That's going to just help your program. You and I are both excited about the kids they're recruiting. Randy Pittman, the kid from Panama City, he's a freaking athlete. He's not the tallest guy. He's probably more of an H-back. But Gus has always used H-backs at Auburn, Arkansas State, etc. And he uses them to leverage things for the RPO game, catch passes in the red zone. A lot of guys are wide open in the end zone. That never goes out of style. I think this is a chance to really improve UCF's offense and also help keep the defense off the field and rest as they're playing in the heat of the bounce house. So any last thoughts about tight end and what you might expect to see this weekend, Pa? You know, they got the spring game at the bounce house. I'm hoping that Gamble gets the ball. What do you think?
They do have the spring game. I want to see the younger guys
Sure.
Because obviously you're not really playing around with tight ends during the season. So you got the likes of Jordan Davis, even fifth-year senior Zach Marshwojan doesn't really get much game time. But they're going to be fighting out with Grant Stevens for that third spot. So you're going to want to see that competition.
Somebody has to claim it. I mean, maybe it's a rotation because nobody does. But you're hoping that – I mean, Stevens, I've seen his film. He's an athletic dude. So I'm hoping that he can be a flex tight end for him early. And as he physically matures, he's not the biggest kid. He's 230-ish. He can grow into a guy they can rely on third down and 1 if they're just going to run inside zone and give it to a running back. But he's a good player. So, okay. Well, thank you very much, my friend. Stephen, I appreciate it. You taking the break from your study habits for finals at UCF. We will be back soon with another podcast. But for those of you that don't know, again, UCF does have a spring game on Saturday. I'm going to be there. There's going to be quite a bit of content on Inside the Knights. Going to be having some photos and videos and stuff from the tailgating, game stuff, post-game stuff, interviews, all of that. So everybody be safe. Take care. Thank you very much. And go Knights.